There's going to be a recall of thousands of airbags, Takata airbags.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Oh look, the government's got to do the right thing here, which is put safety first, as they've obviously looked at all of the facts. My understanding when I was Minister of Transport is, this was something we could stage and do voluntarily, but there's obviously new facts that have come through here that mean that the government has decided it needs to be more than voluntary. It's something that needs to happen, mandatorily, and it seems like they're probably making the right decision.
The Motor Industry Association's been very critical of the previous government. They said you failed to actually didn't meet with them, didn't listen to their advice on it. What do you say?
Oh no, that's simply not true. I mean, if you look at the advice I got, I'd have to go back and go through it, but there's no question that I didn't do anything other than, and the government of the day didn't do anything other than accept the official advice that we've got. My recollection back then, it wasn't a particularly controversial issue in terms of the decision we made, but it was voluntary back then. That was sort of where everyone was at, and now the government's made another decision, and we would have, and I'm sure this government is trying to put safety first.
What sort of advice? Have you been deaths when you were having advice on it?
No, not in New Zealand.
No, around the world?
No. Look, I couldn't recall the exact situation. It started in Japan, is my recollection. I wouldn't want to be drawn because I don't want to put you wrong on what the state of the
Why was it that you didn't act on it? What was the advice?
Look, I'd have to go back and I could easily find out the advice, but certainly my recollection is I was following the clear advice I had around this issue. We thought it was best to deal with it systematically and voluntarily. Now they're doing it compulsorily. Look, if that's what the best evidence and advice is telling them to do at the moment, but it certainly wasn't back then.
David Crawford says he's been regularly talking to NZTA staff since 2014 about this issue. He thinks that no one raised his concerns with you. Were you briefed about his concerns?
I'd need to check the record, but obviously you could talk to NZTA about that and what their position is in relation to what he said. I mean, be very clear, David Crawford is the representative of a motor industry body, and that's not to say that he's not right, but he clearly has a perspective representing the interests of, the body that he represents.
What was your understanding of the scale of the situation?
Oh, it was significant in Japan. My basic recollection was in New Zealand it was much less of an issue, but I'm not critical of what's happened here, but be very clear, we certainly weren't wrong with what we did. I followed best advice and evidence at the time, which was to start this voluntarily and to ratchet it up systematically.
So you don't have it now?
What's that? Yeah, look, I haven't obviously read the advice, but on what I've seen is very cursory about it. They're taking a safety first approach. They've decided to go compulsory around this, and I wouldn't criticise that.
So you don't think the previous government allowed hundreds of thousands of people to drive around?
Definitely not. No, definitely not. It was always a safety first approach, but the best evidence and advice was to start voluntarily and to ratchet it up systematically, and that's what we've done, and I suspect that's why the government now is in the position of, having worked through that, got to a, as I say, more mandatory, more compulsory position.